Hi guys. In this video, I will be exploring some of the various theories and concepts of laws. Specifically, where do they come from and why do we need them? So I'm going to touch on the first two main philosophies of law that have been explored throughout history, and they are natural law and positive law. So natural law comes from this idea, the theory that human laws are derived from eternal and unchangeable principles that regulate the natural world, and people can become aware of them through reason. So again, the eternal and unchangeable principles, you could say there is a connection to ethical imperialism, where again, everybody believes the same thing, and everybody has believed the same thing forever. And you don't need to have these ideas explained to you. You just understand it is wrong and you don't have to do it, or you should not do it. Again, a believer of natural law believes that laws and morality are one in the same. If something is moral, it is illegal. If something is moral, it is legal. And if something is immoral, it is illegal. There is no kind of difference in the eyes of a person who believes this philosophy. Often in, again, cultures that have a natural law-based legal system, the lawyer and the judge is very much connected to the religious faith. So where do the complications arise? Man-made laws that are immoral do not need to be obeyed. When there is a controversy, when the law violates the religious or again, moral code, again, it is as if these laws are immoral, they are evil, and they do not need to be followed. So ancient and medieval legal experts believe that these laws were passed down from a benevolent deity, again based on your faith. And humans, the closer humans lived according to these laws, the better society would function as a whole. So when people obey the laws, they obey their kind of religious tenets, which are one and the same, society functions well. And society falls apart when people do not. Again, that was the more historical point of view. Some biologists believe these beliefs are somehow ingrained into our genetics, where, again, in the same way our flight or fight reflex is encoded into our genetics, our beliefs, our values are somehow encoded in there as well. Some examples of this: the idea of murder, again, culpable homicide. We don't need to have that explained to us that it is wrong. Theft, again, taking something, I'm giving the example of a pickpocket here. Again, taking somebody's wallet, taking their money, taking their private property with no consent is wrong. And the idea of disobeying the law, if you do not believe it is moral. And I give, again, the example of Rosa Parks and the Selma bus boycott, or again, she would sit in the whites only section of her bus. And the example we explored in class, again, Winston Blackmore in the community of Bountiful, British Columbia, they, again, practiced polygamy, and they flagrantly broke Canadian polygamy laws because they believed, again, these laws contravened their religious tenets, and it was their religion that had supremacy in the situation. Some very famous documents have a connection to natural law, and the U.S. Declaration of Independence. So again, the idea that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So a very famous quote from Thomas Jefferson, again, the opening line of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. So the founding fathers used natural rights and natural law as their justification for rebellion. Okay, So natural law is contrasted with positive law. And I always simplify that to the very childish thing of because I said so, that's why. Again, a rule is just a rule because someone in authority says it's a rule. And again, a law is only a law because the government says so. So it's the theory that law is a body of rules formulated by the state, and citizens are obliged to obey the law for the good of the state as a whole. Again, the law has no other purpose than to ensure the survival of the state, and people will benefit from a stable society. This idea when everyone follows the rules, however subjective or however kind of random they are, when everyone is following the same path, we will all benefit from that. So in Canada, these laws are passed by the federal government, the provincial government, the municipal authorities, and by decisions made by judges, case law. And I always give the example, or the best example of positive law is traffic law. Again, imagine navigating our roads, again, knowing what to expect, if we did not have, again, universal agreement of a certain group of arbitrary rules and arbitrary road signs. The idea of why should we always drive 100 kilometers per hour, or would that be the maximum speed you could drive on the 401? Why on a street with no speed limit sign do you have to drive 50? Why do we put such kind of pressure training young people onto following these quite arbitrary numbers? Why not have road signs that make the speed limit 101 on the 401 or 49 on a street with no speed limit sign on it? Why do we have that? Well, for good reasons. Again, we want to make driving less chaotic. We want less accidents. We want one uniform kind of rule book in Canada, the Highway Traffic Act, that tells everybody how they're supposed to act on the road, even if some of the kind of rules in there are quite arbitrary about, again, the color of the sign, again, the side of the road you're driving on, the exact maximum speed limit. Because we hope, again, in driving in Canada, it is very, again, structured and orderly, and we can predict how other drivers will act on the road. But there are other areas of the world that, again, have this type of situation, chaotic driving. And with chaotic driving and kind of the people kind of taking a very relaxed view or casual view on driving laws, again, that leads to more car accidents. That leads to more pedestrian deaths. That leads to more kind of damages of private property. So when we're thinking about, why do we need all these specific laws? Because we all need a universal rule system so everyone safely gets from point A to point B. Okay, and the last one. This is our kind of thinking question, what I want you to kind of think about as you are writing this note. And it's the idea of mandatory schooling in Ontario until 18. Why do we say, and why do we make it, again, a legal matter that from, again, really age 6 until you turn 18, you have to be enrolled in some type of educational institution? Why? And why do we do this? Why do we need this? So what I want you to consider and think about in your notes is this an example of a natural law or a positive law? Again, the mandatory schooling, the Learning to 18 Act, is it natural law or positive law? And secondly, do we actually need this law? Does society benefit by forcing someone who may not actually want to stay in school to be in school? Do we benefit from that as a society? And does that individual benefit from that? Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop by the Google Meet or leave a comment in Google Classroom. Have a good day, guys.